For those of you who don't know, if you want to become a teacher in, I'm pretty sure all states, you have to take a test. And this test determines whether or not you are smart enough to be a teacher. Well, the state of New York has one of these tests, and this test is to gauge your literacy. Well, the problem with this, however, is that apparently it's racist. So they're going to take it off the books. They're going to make this test go away because we should not be testing our teachers on how literate they are. Tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't. It makes no sense whatsoever. As everybody knows, our rankings when it comes to our schools, our rankings have tanked in the last couple years. The Program for International Student Assessment, which provides educational rankings based on international tests taken by 15-year-olds in math, reading, and science. Guess where we ranked? We ranked 24th out of 70. So now that we're ranking 24th out of 70, let's go ahead and make sure that our teachers are not intelligent, not literate enough to teach our kids, right? Because that makes sense. But here's the thing. Here's why, because not enough Black or Latino people were able to pass the test. White people passed the test more than minorities did. And what's your point? It's a standard test, a test that everybody has to take. Either you pass it or you don't pass it. Everybody has to take this test, okay? So just because more white people pass the test than minorities pass the test, so what? You didn't pass the test. You don't get to be a teacher. It's that simple. If you are not smart enough, color, race, none of that has anything to do with anything. If you're not smart enough to be a teacher, you don't get to be a teacher. Now, is it coincidence? Who knows? You cannot gear a standardized test for white people, and you cannot gear a standardized test for black people. You cannot gear a standardized test for Latino people. There is no possible way to make a test work for an individual race. Okay, it's impossible. If you come up with a way to do it, go ahead and leave it in the comments because I don't think it's possible at all. This isn't the first time this has happened. We had the same exact thing happen back in 2009. One of our illustrious Supreme Court justices, Sotomayor, decided to do what? Oh, right. There was a racist test for firefighters in New Haven, Connecticut. Remember that? The racist firefighter test? Because white people were passing it more than the minorities were? Again, there's no logic behind this whatsoever. Just because you are a color means that you are smarter than the other color? I don't personally believe that. Apparently they do. Apparently they believe that because you're white, you can pass these tests easier. No, that's stupid. That's racist, honestly. That's racist. There's no logic or common sense behind that whatsoever. It's outright racism. Racism. I mean, another fine example is voter suppression. Voter suppression, how does that work out? We're going to require you to get an ID before you can vote. Oh, but black people can't get an ID, right? Black people can't afford an ID. That's voter suppression. No, that's racist. That's racist. That's extremely racist. You're telling me that black people aren't able to go to the DMV and get a $20 ID every 5 to 7 years? Really? How is that okay in any stretch of the imagination? How is that voter suppression? Oh, well, see, Republicans are changing the times that people can go vote. So black people and Latino people can't make it there. If you want to vote, I'm pretty sure a black guy or a Latino guy can read just as well as a white guy, listen to the radio just as much as a white guy, or watch the news just as much as a white guy. If he wants to vote, he'll find out when the polls open. I mean, really? These tests, voter suppression, all this stuff is nothing but racism from the Democrats. Why do Democrats not understand this? Why do Democrats not get it? It is 100% racism. This test is racist because more white people pass it than blacks or Latinos do. Voter ID is racist because somehow black people and Latino people can't get IDs. This firefighter test is racist because more white people passed it than minorities passed it. No, it doesn't work that way at all. This test in New York, a 12th grader can pass. If you are a senior in high school, any senior in high school should be able to pass this test. But somehow, some way, there's some teachers who went to college and they can no longer be able to pass this test? No, that doesn't work. Here is the statistics that they use to prove that this test is racist. After just 46% of Hispanic test takers and 41% of black test takers pass it on the first try, compared to 64% of white candidates. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there really fast, but that's not really a giant difference. 41 to 64%. Well, that means that, 36% of white people couldn't pass it either. Right. The moral of the story is very simple. Democrats in New York are saying that this test is racist. Democrats in Connecticut said the firefighter test was racist. Democrats across the country say that voter ID is racist. But all they're doing is saying that minorities are unable and incapable of accomplishing the exact same things white people can. Now, that in itself is inherently racist. Absolutely inherently racist. You are saying that a race, that anybody besides white people just can't do it. They can't succeed. They cannot accomplish anything. That's why we have welfare, right? Because minorities need that boost. Minorities don't have the same opportunity that white people get because of white privilege, right? No, that's not how it is at all. This is what differentiates conservatives and Democrats and liberals. Conservatives believe that every single person is already equal. Every single person already who is born in this country, they all have the same exact opportunities. They can all end up as President of the United States. Look at Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson, black, born in the hood, became the leading neurosurgeon in the world, accomplished things that a lot of white doctors can't do. And look at Oprah. She used to be a dishwasher at a greasy spoon. Now she's the richest woman in the world. Oh, and she's black. If you try, if you work hard enough, you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to vote, if you want to be able to vote in every single election, then you pay attention to what's happening. You pay attention to when the polls open, when the polls close, and you get there on time for you to be able to vote. That's how it works. If you want to be able to take a test, then you study and you make sure you do a good job and you make sure that you can do all the answers. One of the reasons that they said that this teacher test was a bad test was because some of the questions are worded confusingly. What? So only a white person can decipher the question? Tell me how that's not racist. The Democrats prove day in and day out, while claiming and crying that conservatives and the Republicans and everybody on the right wing are a bunch of racists, Democrats prove day in and day out how absolutely racist they are. They might not overtly come out and say a bunch of dirty words, but they say black, Hispanic, other minorities are unable and incapable of accomplishing things that white people can do. It's wrong. They can. It's been proven time and time again. We have a black Supreme Court justice. We've had a black president. We have black generals. Because of the color of your skin, your last name, or whatever, it is irrelevant. It is completely irrelevant. You get as much as you put in, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, hands down. And Democrats will never, ever admit to that being a truth. Why? Because they need to keep minorities in their pocket. If Democrats continue to say, hey, you're a victim, you are a victim. Therefore, because you are a victim, because of whitey, because white people are keeping you down, we will take care of you. Because you're a victim. You're incapable of doing the simplest things. You are incapable of being able to pass tests or vote or get a job or move so you can get a better job or move so you can get out of the ghetto or pick your own school so your kids get a decent education. You're incapable of those things because of your skin color. That is textbook racism. You are on the plantation. They are keeping you on the plantation because you're incapable of doing it. Well, maybe you should come over to the conservative side where we say you are capable of doing it, and we don't have to explain to you how because you already know. If you have any ounce of pride or self-worth, you already know you can do anything that you set your mind to. This is the United States of America.